back for another rating climb. We're at 1600 in bullet. We're going to try to get maybe close to 1700 today. We're going to be playing 1+0 on Lichess and doing the analysis of the games. Let's jump in. Okay, Goldberg 619. Let's go for an e4 game. And we're going to go King's Gambit, try to keep things spicy. So far, Black's playing fine. I think he can go knight here, and I was trying to calculate if there was an idea of sacrificing the bishop and then giving a check. I don't know. Maybe I missed that, but I don't think so. This opening has gone quite well for me. My bishops are perfect. Knight can jump in soon. A common theme in the King's Gambit is to focus in on this square. So maybe I just don't need to lose on time and I can just stay up. But I don't really want to trade queens, but I want to play this pawn move, is basically my thinking. Now I can just play like this. Totally fine with this idea. It opens up another line. Rook here looks bad. That's an interesting move. Maybe I just play queen here, hang on to all my pawns. I can always bump the queen if I would like to. But already here, what if I just do like bishop back? And now bishop takes check? Looking scary. After a move like queen here. Looking very scary. Bishop here, pins the bishop to the queen. Threatening just to play bishop check. But maybe that's not the best yet. Come on, man. There's got to be a... Oh, I'm just losing on time here. I couldn't come up with it. This is awful. I have 1 second. Oh, no. I got to go into pre-move mode. Oh, I go down. All right, bad start to the game. We're not going to get to 1700 by dropping below 1600. We'll have to focus on time. We'll have to focus on keeping up on the clock in these games. Since I just kind of got a little too caught up in finding a mate, which can be a pretty common mistake in a lot of bullet games. You know, you don't have to win in the fanciest way. Once you're in a decent position and you know how to play it, you usually just have to make moves and just stay up on the clock. So we'll have to focus on that. I'm okay with that trade back. It hangs on to this outside pawn. My pawn structure's now... Whoa, that's a little weird. I don't think that's right. This is definitely not right. I mean, it doesn't really threaten anything. If anything, his queen is now short on squares. I could go for a pawn move, but it does weaken the light squares. Maybe better is just make as quick of a threat as I possibly can, which is to double rooks, dislodge the knight that was a temporary defender of this square. Knight here is, I suppose, a move, which I'll have to consider. I don't love that his knight maybe wants to come in. Okay. Now let's push through. And I would love to see pawn takes, knight takes, forks the two at least. Okay, so now we bump. Now his knight is going to have to pick what it wants to do. That's not the best, because the rook's going to crash through. Okay. It is allowing him to just... I guess that's not the best move for the knight. I was missing a mate in one. Oh my god. It's a rusty day. Rusty day for me. I can't be missing mate in ones. But whatever. We did get the win, so on to the next. Okay. Keep developing. So this is a common idea for black or for anybody to sort of push the bishop around, but you know, in this position, it's okay. He did just drop his piece, which I'm now aware of. But often when black, or when someone pushes their pawns like this, you then just want to try to destroy them as quickly as possible. And already black's pieces are starting to fall apart. You really don't want to make this pawn move. It's looking very, very weakening. But already now pawns are falling. This square is super weak. And what is the next thing we really want to do? This is a nice knight move. It covers this square, so there's no check. If his queen leaves this, then there's this skewer picking up the rook. And now maybe I just castle. I was thinking of queen check, which picks up the knight, and was thinking of other things, and well, they didn't go anywhere, I guess, in the end, but I really just didn't want to leave my king uncastled. Okay, we're back to the board. CMB chess 10. Let's do my usual. Develop a knight. Bishop comes outside of the pawn chain. Knight develops. So some of these lines I like to take the pawn, which means the bishop takes, then you get a tempo moving the knight, and then in some cases you can move the knight to the center. I think I'll wait to do that move. And with his bishop and, well, that just drops a piece. With his bishop and knights and everyone, sort of everybody over on this side of the board, I sense that there's a lack of coordination on the king side, and a pawn move like this would be very long-term weakening. That move is interesting, I will admit. But after maybe just king here, you can take queen here. We're in a very wild position, but we have to hang on here, not do anything too crazy. Knight's going to come in here, and this is a really stabilizing piece because it defends the bishop. Now it stops this piece from coming in. We're going to keep defending. Now let's make a counterattack of our own. Let's put the rook behind the queen, threaten this pawn. And it also stops the idea that he had. I'm going to take with the pawn. He didn't stop our threat, so we can pick this rook up and then pick this up with check. Trade down, and it's very close to being over now. He might want to play this one out. Maybe we should just give him some checks. Okay. Back to the board. Vegeta. Dragon Ball Z reference from Canada too. Okay. Develop. Bring our pieces into the center. This knight is pinned. He wants to break the pin so that he can get this nice knight in. A lot of times you can then take here and then look at black's pawn structure. It's awful. It's doubled, isolated pawns. And then it's an interesting move. If I take and he takes, I was trying to calculate, and it's like, I don't know. It's just like not worth it. He's in such a, his position is so much worse. I don't really think it's worth even having to calculate. I'll win a pawn for the sake of this file opening up, which is a little dangerous. Maybe rook up. Oh, what am I thinking? The rook doesn't even defend the pawn. Somehow I imagined that that pawn was not there. How do I do this without now losing a piece? Maybe I pick up a pawn? I don't love this now. This feels a bit scary. Queen, or he should be playing maybe bishop takes knight, pawn takes, and after queen takes, maybe I need to start considering a bail. Not yet. And actually this sequence kind of worked out well for me because now I can force the trade of queens. And my rooks are covering the open files. So positionally, this is winning for me. I think I pick up the pawn, and after he tries to take the file, my king just covers it. I take this center pawn, and positionally, those doubled and isolated pawns really start to become apparent because of his inability to make progress. And already here, I'm going to hang on to this pawn for the sake of that pawn. Yeah, but then that's the rook. I was going to have to, I wasn't going to be able to hang on to everything. The position was going to start to fall apart. All right, maybe we'll do this video to 1650 because we're only at 1627. I think the climbing is going to go a little slower now, so we'll aim to get to 1650. This just drops the center pawn. Got to be careful for that. I don't think the trade of knights really benefits me yet. We're still early days. I have a better center. I'm up a pawn now. I think this is, it's obviously, it's going well, but I think I just want to stay now up on the clock, which I'm also building a small lead on the clock. He can play this pawn move, but it's not very good positionally because now it blocks in his own bishop. So I was kind of baiting to see if he would do it, which he did. I want to use this as a weakness later, so I don't want to leave that diagonal. And there's no pin for the knight anyway, so it's not like I wasn't really threatening to pin it or whatever. This will force a trade of knights. I'll ultimately want to get my other knight on that square. So we'll bring this knight here. He can play pawn forward, but he's sort of blocking in his own pieces. Now this knight is kind of dumb. It's not doing anything. I think I just wait. I don't want to give up my bishop just yet because the knight is better on this square. Force him to trade that. Maybe I just try to... wow, that's... okay. I didn't like that his knight was going to come in here. He can play pawn forward. I mean, not yet, but maybe that's what he's angling for. Cover this square. This bishop controls everything quite nicely. And now we break the king side. Just king over. Doesn't feel that scary yet. Pawn forward, I was planning on just going pawn forward. It's a little crazy, but then this pawn covers this square. It's a light square weakness, so maybe there was something he could try to build up, but I didn't see it. I don't think there was a good attack for him. And the pawns on the other side of the board were about to fall apart. Okay, fleas, 1640. Play my usual Scandinavian. I really like it to just, it's pretty convenient. You can make some early threats, but at this point I know it well enough that I can just move it out, move the opening out very quickly and not hemorrhage too much time in the opening when I know I need to probably gain some time at some point. I was even going to say, like, did I trap my own queen there if he had played bishop e3? I don't know. Okay. This is going well. He dropped a piece, threaten, center pawn. He really can't give up his light square bishop for this. I guess I want a castle, and this bishop is hanging on to this pawn, so there's really no threat yet. His threats are very superficial at this point, and I think here maybe I just castle. And this threat's not going anywhere. I really want to do something about his bishop. So what if I play a move like this? And now a move like knight or even bishop here first. This is even better. Now I am threatening, rook takes pawn. This is the skewer. And if he does that, I think I can take. Did I miscalculate this? My thought was to go like there. Maybe he then goes rook here. Tricky. Oh. Maybe I have to go like this. And then knight back. Oh, I made it myself. Ah. Darn. Yeah, that was a tough game. I think... well, I'd have to go back and look at it. But I think I just totally did not appreciate how fast that pawn was moving. And wow, that really turned crazy very quickly. I'm going to try this pawn idea, stopping his bishop from being able to take the knight. And now I finally have time to pick up his dark square bishop. Wild game. Wild game. Okay. So my position is temporarily very cramped. So I'm just going to look for ways to uncramp it. And giving up the dark square bishop was not my ideal, but okay. I'm not as worried about this move because nobody has a dark square bishop at this point. So we just need to develop our pieces. I think this pawn move was actually better. Followed by this, and then if pawn takes, this pawn so that I cover. And now his bishop's going to have to move. My knight's going to come in. A knight can come here. I don't really know what it's doing there yet. I think I should be playing this. Oh, he also dropped this pawn. Okay. Maybe rook up. I've got to try to create some threats. Maybe I double rooks on this side, and there's like a temporary stasis on this side of the board. But now I'm creating some ideas. This rook might fall. I can then play... Okay, how about we start with... Wait, does that even work? Why don't I just take with this? And now check. To kill here. Knight check. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. And at the end of all that, a lot of craziness, but his attack did fall apart. Okay. And he resigns. Go back to the board. Let's see what we have now. Okay, Mastermind 07. Another Scandinavian, but he ignores it and plays... I don't know what this is. Let's just try to be controversial and not be too attached to my pawns. There's no need to worry about hanging on to all these pawns. We want to try to create counter threats and ideas. I think I can get away with the castle here. He can go pawn forward with check, but then after king moves, it's not like I lose a piece or anything crazy. And now my queen, bishop, and pawn are all lined up. I think I just take the center pawn. He doesn't have time to go queen takes. He's going to have to trade. But then there's still this threat. If I just move out of the way. Maybe I start with... I don't have to start with check because there's no... Okay. Now... Ooh. Yeah. Huh. Oh, that's tough. Maybe I start with a check. Pawn forward. And after knight here... check. Check. Maybe I made one too many checks. Can I take here? Okay. Wild. Really wild position. I don't know if I'm doing better. I guess he has knight check. I should have defended against that. Okay, so now I just try to create a flight square. Trade this down. And go back. King here. Okay, we're down on time. So we'll have to start going a little crazier. Start making some pre-moves. All right. Not happy about this, but at least we haven't lost on time yet. Oh, he's got to be careful. I think that's a draw. All right. We save the draw. And then, yeah, in that position with his king on the rim like that, as long as you get opposition, there's no way he's going to be able to force his pawn through. So we're able to survive that game with the draw. Very close. Okay, let's try to bounce back here. I don't know why I didn't take this center pawn. I feel like he just dropped it. And now I'm in a sticky situation where he has this annoying queen checks. I had to be kind of careful where I put my knight. See, it's like that. Chess can be so tough. One move you don't take advantage of and all of a sudden it becomes very dangerous. I'll gladly take off queens. So what do I have to worry about? My pawn structure is getting a little fractured. That being said, with this pawn move, I do control the squares a little bit better. And I'm going to look to develop my pieces as quickly as I can. Now the next problem will be getting the rooks to the center, which I've now done. I like this king move only because it looks like he may just be wanting to trade down everything, which, I don't know. I feel like that's not the best move. Okay, we gotta be dynamic. We gotta keep playing on this. Oh, it dropped a pawn there. We gotta keep playing on the squares we like. Finding ways to do nettlesome things. What if I do a check? I don't think he should have done that. Okay. Okay. We're going to trade pieces on this side of the board. Oh, drops a knight. Now it's threatening. Oh, happens too fast. All right, 1638. Let's keep going. All right, playing our usual Scandinavian, developing towards the center. Pin the knight. This is a very annoying pin. Yeah, you're going to want to try to break this, but it's going to mean a lot. Now I'm going to put the knight in. Now I think I'm going to take the bishop and threaten the rook, and after he moves and this retreats, his king has now been weakened. He's had to give up the bishop pair, but more importantly, I'm going to take advantage of this weakening of the pawn structure, and we're just going to start lining everything up. This knight is now coming into the game. This d5 square is just brutal. Yeah, he felt like this was necessary. I don't blame him, but I'm going to try and find the best way. I mean, letting him... Maybe I didn't have to play like this because that light square bishop was really good. I'm actually very happy with the idea. He just drops his queen, but I really was happy before that move with the idea of giving up my knight for his light square bishop. His king was going to be so vulnerable from then on. Okay, 1624. Kevin Emmanuel 1412. We're going to wait. All right. We'll go into this kind of line. Trying to control this center. Knight move. I want to maybe see him push, and if he doesn't, maybe I just have to play d5 myself. Maybe I played my queen here. I see what he did there, and maybe this was premature since he wants to develop his bishop, but I can get in a temporary pin to at least help to develop my pieces. Stop this square from coming out. Maybe I just take. He can take with the pawn. I give him that. But, you know, certainly nobody's easy position to play. I kind of like putting the queen or the bishop here. Attacks the rook. And now maybe I reroute the queen. Bishop comes here. Oh, I do drop this pawn. So let's take and then put this rook here. He should have maybe put the bishop behind in hindsight for him. I'm trying to figure out what's a good line. I think I just got to keep moving. Just stay up on the clock. Whoa. That's probably not the best way to do it. He's trying to keep things crazy. I don't know. Maybe they are pretty crazy now, but now that my queen defends this pawn, I can sort of begin to consolidate. This pin, maybe I just take it down, take out the bishop. Yep. And we're just beginning to consolidate. Yep. Okay. Okay. not much left to do except just find a way. Force him to the back rank. And that's mate. Okay, I think one more game we'll get to 1650. Let's try to make this one pretty dramatic. These wild games are, I guess, pretty entertaining. 1616. Oh, I guess I waited too long before starting. We'll do one more. Ving Band is an unrated account thus far, which is always scary when you see it. You have no idea what you're in for. So far, black's opening's pretty good. I like that move. Even pawn push here could be interesting. Just trying to destroy white's coordination, white's center. But so far that has failed, and I'll be moving forward with my plans of just castling. He's got to be careful. You can't wait forever to castle. It's not an indefinite thing. Now the knight can come in, can take out the dark square bishop, and now this pawn is much safer. My dark squares are decent. That move is premature. It can be captured, but also this knight is now pinned. Here, I think I just want to protect it, because how do you gang up on this? Maybe you don't yet. Maybe you just threaten it to force off a trade of the queen, since positionally this is already much better. This bishop is dead. This knight is way out of the game. This rook is way out of the game. I'd be perfectly fine with a queen trade here. I'll pick up this pawn. I'll double my rooks along the e-file, and there's not much left for Ving Bad. Interesting idea, but I don't think this kind of craziness works. I think this is a little too crazy, since positionally this is just tough. I think I just totally fine trading down. Check, and then mate. Okay, it's going a little slower now. Made it to 1650. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.